So we welcome you to today's session in marketing, sales and marketing. So we are looking at chapter number 4 or unit 4, where the focus of the study is a customer-driven marketing strategy, which is actually creating value for target customers. So we want to learn, we want to teach ourselves how to create value for the target customers. That is the main area of interest that we have for today, right? How do you create value for the target market? So you can see that a company must first find out its strengths, its weaknesses, and then try to match them with the market. So it is very, very important for the company to identify its distinctive competences, that is things it does best and is good at, and try to capitalize on them in order to build some competitive advantage in the market. So the markets usually are also homogeneous. They are not homogeneous. Usually the markets are heterogeneous nature. That is to say, customers are not the same. Okay. Yeah. And this usually puts a lot of strain on the company that adopts a mass marketing approach. So with limited resources, this approach is not actually tenable. So the company must seek to identify the customers that it can effectively serve in line with its capabilities. So identify those customers that you can manage to serve as a company within your limited capabilities. So it calls for you as a company to take some deliberate steps to divide this non-homogeneous or the heterogeneous market into sections or segments that are a little bit homogeneous in nature, and pick those segments in so that you can at least serve those people effectively, right? So in the unit, actually, what we just want to concentrate on are things that hinge around defining, the concepts of market segmentation and market targeting, discuss the use of developing the use in development marketing strategy, and we can still spend some time to discuss the methods of segmenting consumer markets and organizational markets. We will have time to identify the factors that can be used to evaluate the market segment, and have time also to define the concepts of positioning and discuss the key to successive positioning. And finally, we'll conclude the unit by looking at the positioning and repositioning strategies. That is very, very important. Let's start with the market segmentation, number one. Let's start with market segmentation. So you may agree with me that at every level, you realize that it is very difficult, especially to deal with the multitudes of people, or a large group of people, especially that have got some divergent views, than it is to deal with, with a small group of people, whose interests are the same. Now, when you're given a large group with different views and interests, it would be very difficult for you to deal with them, because it would require you to have, some multitudes of approaches to suit each and every divergent view, right? So when given a smaller group whose interests are the same, all you will need is actually one program, one standard approach, and this works better because you will not waste resources and you will find it very convenient for you. So the principle applies to companies and marketers alike. So the companies find it extremely difficult to mass market to a total heterogeneous market with divergent needs and wants. So in order to get around this challenge, the company has to divide the total market into smaller segments, okay, that they can actually manage and they can actually manage, and the company's resources are enough to satisfy these segments, right? Now, the whole process of doing that is what is called marketing segmentation, right? So market segmentation by definition may be defined as the identification of the individuals or the organizations with similar characteristics that have significant implications to the determination of marketing strategy. This is according to Joba and Chadwick in their book, page number 264. So you see, you have to divide the large market into small or sub markets. Then you start identifying those small groups and start the small groups. It can be more efficient for you to, and more effective for you to serve a small group of people that is well targeted, unlike trying to serve a large group of people. Now, it's segment the market, right? What could be some of the benefits that a company can derive from segmenting the market, right? Number one, let's look at target selection. So market segmentation provides the basis for the selection of the target markets, right? So a target market is actually a chosen segment of the market that a company has decided to serve. So as customers in the target market segment have similar, usually those customers, they have some similar characteristics. So a single marketing mix strategy can be developed to match those requirements that those people need, right? So it is very important to segment the market because it can serve as a basis for us to target the market. There is, we have tailored marketing mix, okay? Under this one, we say that the market segmentation allows the grouping of customers based upon the similarities that are important when designing marketing strategies, right? So you will understand that consequently, this can actually allow the marketers to understand in depth the requirements of a segment and tailor a marketing mix package that meets their needs. So this is a fundamental step as in the implementation of the marketing concepts, right? So the segmentation on it promotes the notion of customer satisfaction by viewing the markets as diverse sets of needs that must be understood, especially and met by those by those suppliers in question. Now, market segmentation also brings about differentiation, right? It allows the development of differential marketing strategies. So when you break the market into the constituent sub-segments, so a company may actually, differentiate its offerings between segments, right? You can choose and the package your products according to these small groups that you have actually segmented, so you can differentiate your product, especially if you first segment the market. Market segmentation can allow us as a company to find opportunities and identify the threats, right? Okay, so market segmentation actually is very important because it helps us to attempt to spot actually the opportunities and the threats around us. So you understand that the markets are usually not static. So because of that, the customers become more affluent and seek new experiences. They develop new values. They even develop new segments image. So the company that first stops a new and underserved market segment right, and meets its needs better than competition, can benefit from increasing sales and profit growth. So the point is that market segments need to be protected from competitors, right? So otherwise, there is a threat that new entrants might establish a foothold and grow market share in the poorly served segment of a market. That is very, very important. It is extremely important that we understand that. So we need to segment the market. Okay. Do we have the process of market segmentation and targeting marketing? Yes, the process is there. So let's try to look at the process of market segmentation and market targeting, right? So let me just illustrate for you here. You can see that we have the first disaggregated market. So this one is not aggregated. Under this one, we have the different, characteristics of the individual customers that need to be understood. Then we have the segmented market. Under this one is where you divide now this same disaggregated market. So the customers are grouped into segments on the basis of having similar characteristics. Those customers that have got the similar characteristics are put in the same group. Then finally, you'll have the target market from the segment. So this is where, let's say, for example, here, there is a first segment. The first segment is segment 1, segment 2, and segment 3. So in segment 3, what you find is that and give you the marketing mix target that is targeted at segment number 3, because segment number 3 is judged to be the most attractive, and a marketing mix strategy is designed actually for that target market because it seems to be more attractive. Now, let's look at the process, right? Let's look at the process of market segmentation and target marketing. So the process is, number 1, to understand the requirements and the characteristics of the individuals or organization that comprise the market. That is very important. Understand the requirements, understand the characteristics of the individuals that comprise the market. Okay. To do that, you can actually use market research, of which we already did talk about market research previously. You can group, okay, you can group according to these requirements and characteristics into segments that have implication on developing marketing strategy. Yeah. So you can note that a market can be segmented into various ways, depending on the choice of criteria. For example, the market for cars could be segmented by type of buyers, right? Is it an individual that is buying? Is it an organization that is buying? All right. So the major benefits sought in a car, for example, the functionality or the status, maybe let's say family size. Okay. So there are no rules about how a market should be segmented. That's what we try to mean. Then the third step is where you choose the market segment to target. So under this one, a marketing mix can then be developed based on the deep understanding of target market customers' needs and values. So the aim is actually to design a mix that is distinctive from the competitors' offerings. That is, so we need that mix which is actually different. Let's now segment the consumer markets. How do you segment the consumer markets? So markets can be segmented, just as we said, into many ways. Okay. Segmentation variables actually are the criteria that are used to divide So sorry for that. So you must understand that when examining criteria, the marketer is trying to identify, okay, good predictors of differences in buyer, behavior. It is also important actually to note that there is an array of options or no single prescribed way of segmenting a market. That is what is very, very important. What could be some of the variables, right? When you're segmenting the consumer market, we can have. Let's start with the demographic variables. The demographic variables that you could consider when segmenting would include the age, the gender, the race, the ethnicity, the income, the education levels, occupation, the family size, the family life cycle, the religion, the social class. Right. That is very, very important. Then on the other hand, you have the geographical variables. These would include the region itself. Is it urban? Is it suburban? Is it rural? Is it the city size? Is it country size? Is it the state size? Is it the market density? Is it densely populated? Okay, what's the crime, the climate, right? And also consider the psychographic variables such as the personality attributes, the motives, and the lifestyle, right? The behavior variables, okay? The behavior variables would include the volume usage, the end use, right? The benefit expectations, the brand loyalty, and the price sensitivity. So those are some of the variables that we actually can use. Right. Now, the key behavioral basis for segmenting consumer markets are benefits such as sort, the purchase behavior, the usage, the perception, the beliefs, and the values. We can have time to look at those, especially in detail. Right. Let's look at psychographic segmentation. Now, with a psychographic segmentation, it involves grouping people in, according to their lifestyle and the personality characteristics. For example, let's pick the lifestyle, right? It attempts to actually group people according to their way of living, okay? Essentially as reflected in their activities, in their interests, in their opinions. So marketing researchers attempt to identify groups of people with similar patterns of living. So the question that arises with the living style segmentation is the extent to which general lifestyle patterns are predictive of purchasing behavior in a specific market. However, the lifestyle segmentation has proved popular among, advertising agencies which have attempted to relate brands to a particular lifestyle. We can also have personality under psychographic segmentation. Now, with personality, we know that every human being has a personality, isn't it? So even you have the personality, okay? It has an influence on your behavior. So in case, we must also realize that the usefulness of personality as a segmentation variable is likely to depend on the product category. So let's say buyer brand personalities are likely to match there, or where brand choice is a direct manifestation of personal values, but for most fast moving consumer goods. Right. So what about profile segmentation? With the profile segmentation, the variables allow consumer groups to be classified in such a way that they can be reached by, communication medias, among others. You can advertise to them, you can advertise via mail, and write text to them. Demographic variables. Now, the demographic variables are these include gender, age, life cycle, lifestyle, education, among others. Let's just maybe try to pick 1 or 2, 3 and look at them in detail. For example, age. It has been used to segment many consumer markets. For example, children who receive their own television programs, serials, computer games, and confectionery are other examples of markets where products are formulated with the children in mind. Now, the age is not only widely used for segmenting product market, but it is also used as a segmentation variable in services, right? The holiday market is heavily age segmented with offering targeted at different age groups. This actually does reflect the different requirements of the different age groups when on holiday. The gender. With the gender, it also offers much for the marketing manager, planning their segmentation strategy, differing tastes and the customs between men and women are reflected, especially in specialist products aimed at these market segments. So, for example, you can include the aces of the magazines, the clothing, the hairdressing, cosmetics. These are some of the products, okay, the product categories that have used segmentation based on gender, right? We can look at the family life cycle, right? We know that disposable income and purchase requirements may vary according to the life cycle stage. The young, single, the married with children. So the consumer durable purchases may be dependent on lifestyle cycle stage, with young couples without children being a prime target market for, furnishings and appliances as they set up home. Now, the use of life cycle analysis may give us better precision than age in segmenting markets, because family responsibilities and the presence of children may have a greater bearing than age on what the people may buy. So those are some of the things to look at. Let me look at the social variables now. With the social variables, it would include the social class, the level of education, the income, okay? So social class is measured in varying ways across the world. In some countries, occupation is used for social class, whereas in others, a combination of variables is used, like the demographic variables discussed earlier. So social class is relatively easy to measure and is used for creating media, let's say leadership and viewership profiles. Yeah. Now, what about geographical variables? Now, a marketer can still decide to use pure geographical segmentation or a hybrid or combination of geographic and demographic variables. Okay, that is called geodemographics. So the geographical segmentation method is actually used for where there are geographical location differences, right? In consumption patterns, in preferences. So geodemographic, in countries that produce population census data, the potential for classifying consumers on the combined basis of location and certain demographic information, it does exist, all right? So households are usually classified into groups according to a wide range of factors, depending on what is asked for on a census returns. So for example, the variables such as age, social status, family size, ethnic background, joint income, types of housing, car ownership, they are actually used to group small geographic characteristics, okay? That usually does exist. How can you now segment organizational markets, right? How can you segment the organizational markets? Right. We can see that while the consumer goods market, a consumer goods marketer is interested in grouping individuals into marketing relevant segments, the business to business marketer profile organization and organizational buyers. Now, the organizational market can be segmented on several factors broadly classified into two major categories, the macro segmentation and the micro segmentation. What about macro segmentation? With macro segmentation, okay, this is where you use the criteria of organizational size, industry, geographical location that we can comment on, and we're going to comment on them. So with the size, okay, of buying organization may be used to segment markets. So we find that large organizations differ from medium-sized and small organization in having greater, order potential, more formalized buying and the management processes. Okay, that's for the size. But you can also find the aspect of the industry, just as I said, where you can see that the different industry may have unique, requirements from products. For example, software application suppliers can market their products to various sectors such as banking, manufacturing, healthcare, and the education. Now, each of which has unique needs in terms of software programs, servicing, price, and purchasing practice. So by understanding each industry's needs in depth, a more effective marketing mix can be actually designed. There's also the issue of the graphical location, where you can actually, group people according to the graphical geographical location. Now, micro segmentation. With micro segmentation, you can see that you divide the population on the basis of the buyer's choice criteria, decision making, the unit structure, decision making processes, buying class, purchasing organization, and organizational innovativeness. Okay, so you can also look at the issues of the choice criteria, that actually they use. Okay, the decision making unit structure that you can look at, how big, how small it is, how complex it is, that can still help you. We can look at the aspect of the buying class as well, okay? Because the buy class affects the length of the decision-making process, right? What about market targeting now? Target marketing. I've talked about segmentation. Now, we said market segmentation is the process of dividing the total heterogeneous market into sub-market or segments that are homogeneous in many respects. Okay. Now, once that is done, the task now that remains for the marketer to choose is to choose actually which segments to serve. Now, the process of choosing, okay, when you are in the process of choosing the segments to serve, that is what is called the target marketing. So in short, target marketing is a choice of a specific segment to serve and is actually a key element in marketing strategy. Evaluating market segments. So when evaluating market segments, a company should actually examine two broad issues. These would include the market attractiveness and the company's capacity to compete in the segment. Does the company have the capacity to compete in the segment? Market attractiveness can be assessed by looking at market factors, competitive factors, political, social, and environmental factors. Yeah. So with the market size, you can look at the segment size, how big, how small it is. You can look at the growth as well. It's also another element that you look at Okay, it can be more attractive, especially for a new business opportunity to enter into a business that has got higher growth rate, where you can easily grow, right? Not in those areas where there is so much and heavy competition. For example, in the mobile computing market, the tablet computers, ultra nodes, and smartphones are three high growth markets that are highly competitive and highly growing. So therefore, the analysis of the growth rate should always be accompanied by an examination of the state of competition at that time. So we can segment profitability, right? So you can segment that for profitability. That's where you check for the segments where at least you can easily make much more of profit. Price sensitivity is also very important. Price sensitivity is very important, because in segments where customers are price sensitive, there is a danger of profit margins being eroded by price competition. So low price sensitivity segments are usually more attractive since the margins can be maintained, right? What about bargaining power of customers? You can see that the both end and intermediate customers can reduce the attraction of the market segment if they can exert high bargaining pressure on suppliers. You can also look at the aspect of the barriers to entry. Okay, are there any barriers to the entrance of that market? And if they are there, are there any barriers again to the exiting that market? Then you can also look at the competitive factors as well. Okay, the competitive factors such as the nature of competition. Okay, because the strong aggressive competitions are less attractive than where competition is weak. So the weakness of, for example, European and Northern American car manufacturers, okay, made the Japanese entry into a seemingly highly competitive, market segment relatively easy. So the quality of the competition is far more significant than the number of companies operating in the market segment. So you can look at the aspect of the political, social, and environmental factors as well, as you operate in this market, and as you get to try to divide and segment the market. So now, market targeting, right? Market targeting. It's very important to target the market, just as we did say, and you should also be able to differentiate the market. Now, about differentiating the market, when the market segmentation reviews several potential targets, specific market mixes can be developed to appeal to all and some of the segments, and this is called differentiated marketing. Can have the aspect of customized marketing right now. In some markets, the requirements of individual customers are unique and their purchasing power sufficient to make designing a separate a marketing mix for each customer vibe. Now, the segmentation at this disaggregated level leads to the use of customized marketing. Yeah. Right. Now, positioning is hard-won and relies on 4 factors. Positioning is very important, okay? Because it is usually associated with product possessing favorable connotation in the minds of customers. So it is based on main 4 factors. Number 1, clarity. So the position idea must be clear in terms of both the target market and the differential advantage. So you will see that the complicated positioning statements are unlikely to be remembered. So simple messages such as maybe the BMW, you know, BMW, let's say the ultimate driving machine, let's say ShopRite, they say low prices, you can trust always. These are usually very clear and memorable. Okay. Now, consistency. People are bombarded with the messages daily. So to break through this noise, a consistent message is required. Confusion will arise if this year we position on quality of service, then next year we change it to superior product performance. that can really affect us. So we should be consistent. And the aspect of credibility as well is also very, very important. Is what we are doing really credible enough? Can people put their heads on? Competitiveness is the 4th factor that you have to consider on when it comes to positioning. So you know that the differential advantage should have a competitive edge, right? It should offer something of value to the customer that the competition is failing to supply. For example, the success of the iPod was based on the differential advantage of seamless downloads of music from a dedicated music store, iTunes, to a mobile player that produced better sound quality than its rivals. That was very, very important. Is there any questions? All right.